Hi, everybody. It's Veronica Cole. I believe that I am on, but I just want to make sure. I think I'm on now. This is Veronica Cole. And this is my soul chat for Wednesday. And I wanted to talk about our authentic self. And Carl Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become your authentic self. So, becoming who you truly are. And that means without the reasoning behind your occupation or what others might be convincing you that you really need to be doing. Um, it's all of those things and more. So, because the influence of others oftentimes is what creates our authentic self, right? You know, we grow up as children, and that's when I believe we are our most authentic. That is when we are the most free thinking, and we don't seem to care much about what others think because we're emoting, we're having our feelings about things if we're allowed to, let's put it that way. But for the most part, even when we aren't allowed to, we find a way to do it because this is how we learn, this is how we grow. So, this may help us to stand out from the crowd. And I'm saying it in a positive way because many people don't want to stand out from the crowd. They want to blend in. They don't want to be their authentic selves. They kind of want to blend in with the crowd, which uh, I wanted that for a long time, but that was not really me. Um, I thought for the longest time that I just wanted to blend in because a lot of my own personal childhood was spent observing, like any kid, but in my case, it was spent observing situations and lifestyles that everybody was doing. And I was very interested in what everybody was doing. I wanted to know, I was curious. And I think I was just curious about life in general, like most kids are. If they're allowed to be, that's what you are. And there are so many people that I could say kind of represent to me what an authentic person is. Someone who does stand out from the crowd. For instance, Andy Warhol. I remember all the hubbub that was going on about the artwork of Andy Warhol not being considered art because he was drawing everyday objects like soup cans. And people were saying, well, what's the big deal with that? But he didn't care. That's one of the phases that he went through, and he just stood by what he loved. And well, as you know, um, he developed a lot of fame for his work, and his work has continued to be um, very, very popular. And a lot of people love his work, and why not? It was different, but it was who he was. It was unique. It was uniquely his. Van Gogh is another one. Van Gogh, you couldn't even get anybody to buy his artwork for the most part. And he really didn't develop any kind of fame although he was influenced by so many, and but it really wasn't until after his death that for the most part he became well known and he became popular and his work was valuable. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock is another one. Alfred Hitchcock has his own way of directing film that is unlike anybody else. And I have read that people have said it was very hard to work with him, but he was also very kind. So Alfred Hitchcock had his own way of doing things. You may remember him from some of his famous movies like Psycho. You know, what an incredible film. That's one of many. Um, I think even Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ was a man, but he had his own way of thinking and doing and being, and that he would go around and preach what he believed in. And well, we know what his ending was, right? We know what happened to him. But he believed in himself. Gandhi was another one. Uh, he didn't believe in violence, and he believed in the strength that he exhibited in anything that he was working on. He did not stand for any violence to accomplish what he wanted to accomplish. The Dalai Lama, and as we know, the Dalai Lama fled Tibet, which was taken over by the Chinese, but he maintained his way of viewing and his way of living, and it still is prominent today. Thomas Edison with the light bulb and I believe the projector. The Wright brothers with the airplane. Harriet Tubman with the Underground Railroad. And, at the time that this happened, she had an interesting story because Harriet Tubman was, herself was an escaped slave, and she led other enslaved people to freedom before the Civil War. And she was brave. That's another quality. She was brave. She was brave because she was herself and she did what she felt was the right thing to do. And of course, we know her as a woman suffragette as well. So, and there are many more women that I really, now off the top of my head, I'm starting to think of who these different women are. Madame Curie, oh goodness, Gloria Steinem, Barbara Walters. I mean, she was a breakthrough too. Even Oprah. There are many famous and not so famous people. So you don't have to be famous in order to be your authentic self, because it's more than about being famous. It's about being honest, but it's more than about honesty, because it's about being self-aware and being humble and asking the question, who am I? And making that question sort of be a ruling factor in your thoughts, because when you're trying to discover yourself, I remember at the age of 19 that I really started questioning things about me. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember distinctly having this thought, who am I? What do I want to do? So, as I mentioned before, as kids, we're our most authentic. And as we grow older, then we move less from doing what we want to doing what we should do. And yes, we do need to maintain responsibility, but we also need to maintain a sense of ourself. But if we don't know who we are, if we're unsure about what it is that we even like or dislike, that's why we need to say, who am I? And question yourself. Then how can we possibly know what our authentic self is? But as we question, we begin to explore more. We begin to think about our ideas, and it leads to better coping once we discover our authentic self, and once we discover these pieces of us, because there are many pieces to us. There's not just, we are comprised of so many things. I mean, we have the home, the self that we are at home. We have the self that we may be at our job. We may have the self that we are as a mother, the self we are as a sister-in-law or as a sister, where all these factors all combined into one. And there's an awful lot we have to sort out and go through. So we want to have better coping skills. We want to be, we want to have a stronger side to ourselves and a greater sense of self-worth and more confidence. And I do believe that if you work on knowing your authentic self, knowing who you are, then I do believe that you will have all of these qualities and more. But until you begin to work on these parts of yourself and know who you are on the inside, um, you're not going to discover it. But you will once you begin to really question. I think writing is another excellent way, keeping a journal, to be in touch more with that part of you that you may not consciously always be aware of, because writing has the ability to be able to reveal to you things that may even not even be in your conscious mind. So writing is a really good thing, and I think contemplation is another thing that is very helpful. So we do have methods of doing this, but also remember that if you need to have a helping hand in terms of discovering more of your authentic self, going deeper into knowing who you want to be or what you think that you would like your life to be, sometimes you need like a guide, or you need somebody that that you believe just could be there for you. And I'm all for that. I think we all really need to take ourselves and our self-worth seriously enough to give ourselves that. So with that, I'm going to say that, I have been through a path myself where I had to do this discovery, as I just got through mentioning. And it took me down many roads. I started off in theater, and then I went to, and I became a therapist when I had gone through some trauma, and it changed my whole mindset, because we can have, I believe there's, that I've read somewhere that you could have something like 7 to 10 careers in your lifespan. That's very common now. It used to be years ago, maybe when I was younger or when I was a child, that people would stay in the same position for like a lifetime, and that would be considered an honor if people did that. Now, the more that you can explore and the more that you can learn about yourself and take that into another situation where you can offer that, then the better off you are. So here I am today, and I started off as a clinical therapist also in my profession that I'm in right now. And I always had a holistic point of view. And this holistic point of view did not leave me. But I did not feel safe or comfortable enough to come out into the world and say that I was a holistic psychotherapist, and that I was grounded in my in spirituality, not just my spirituality, but in more of a divine spirituality. And I believe in something greater than myself. And I felt that you could not truly take somebody and support them in becoming their authentic selves if they did not have the grounding of spirituality, which could be a lot of different things. But the main thing is that you have a belief that there's something greater than you out there, and I do. So my entire practice is built on this spiritual belief, because I believe that once we tap into the spirituality of who we are, that this sets us out on a path to greater freedom, greater confidence, because for me, I'm owning myself. And there's such a good, strong feeling in that. It excites me. I'm passionate about it. So I am going to be giving a free 5-day workshop, and it's going to be in Facebook, and that will be starting next Monday at 3 p.m., which is November 9th, and it will go for an hour from 3 to 4 p.m., and it's called Sacred Alchemy After Loss, and it's going to be in my private Facebook group called Sacred Alchemy After Loss. So these losses are numerous, and we all go through necessary losses in our lifetimes. Yes, there is the loss of a loved one. There is the loss of a pet. There is also a divorce. There is also financial loss. There is also the loss of a home. There is a loss of our sense of selves. So, loss is comprised of many, many different things, but the loss itself is based in oftentimes in our wounded child. Our wounded child appears. If our wounded child is not healed, uh, the wounded child cannot develop specific coping mechanisms to be able to be successful in what they choose to do, no matter what that might be in your life. So I am very passionate about this, and I'm offering this workshop free. And if you're interested, there is a registration page. You can go to that and sign up, or you could go to Sacred Alchemy After Loss on Facebook, and you could ask to join that if you're interested. And so I'm preparing for that right now, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing right now when I get off here. So I want to thank you all for being here, just being a part of my little soul chat for today. And I will see you again next Wednesday. All right. Take good care. Bye bye now.